And now, let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akuga as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akuga. Today's package is a mixed grill of politics and development in the Niger Delta. And taking the lead in our lineup is an update on the race for Creek Haven, which has thrown some legal hurdles for the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP in Bayelsa State. In neighboring Rivers State, where the government recently announced its acquisition of Shell's interest in OML 11, we'll bring you the reaction of some Ogoni activists in the course of the program. Next in our lineup is the reaction of Abuja-based constitutional lawyer Frank Tietie to the alarming rates of unemployment and indebtedness by governments of the oil-rich Niger Delta states. Following Mr. Tietie's statement on the problem of unemployment in the Niger Delta region is a report on efforts made so far to address the social crisis of joblessness in Kula Kingdom of Rivers State. And finally on the program is a special feature on engineer Jack Richtain Jr., president and founder of Belema Oil Producing Limited, who has worked tirelessly in the last 3 years to bring about sustained peace and development in the beleaguered Kula Kingdom. For more details on today's package, we urge you to stay tuned as Inside the Niger Delta will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. For the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP, the race for Creek Haven has thrown up legal hurdles arising from the outcome of their governorship primary election conducted on September 3rd and 4th respectively in Bayelsa State. In the APC, frontline governorship aspirant Priye Aganaba last week moved the suit he filed against the party and its flag bearer David Lyon to the Abuja Federal High Court, which has ordered a substituted service on the respondents. Aganaba is praying the court to void the September 4 governorship primaries that produced David Lyon as governorship candidate of the APC, alleging that primary elections did not take place across the 105 political wards of Bayelsa State.
The prayers are essentially for the court to give us leave to serve David Lyon and Degi by substituted means. So those are the prayers. And then the second one is a deeming order, so that the court regularizes that the processes that were served by substituted means will be deemed to have been properly served. So those are essentially the two prayers that the court granted.
In the same vein, a federal high court in Yenagoa has issued an order for substituted service on respondents in a suit challenging the emergence of Senator Doye Diri as governorship candidate of the PDP.
Service of some of the defendants have not been effected, and it's not been possible to effect service. So we came to the court applying for substituted service, and it's a demonstration of our confidence in the judiciary process. That's why we presented our complaints before the court, and the court would decide on the basis of our facts and our evidence in arriving at a full determination of this case.
The suit filed by Chief Timi Alaibe, former managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC), is asking the court to order a fresh primary election on grounds that the September 3 primary election was manipulated and conducted through a flawed process. And now, away from politics. Some Ogoni activists have maintained that the purported acquisition of oil mining lease, OML 11, by the Rivers State government offends the sensibilities of Ogoni people and so will be resisted. Their position on OML 11 comes on the heels of Governor Nyesom Wike's declaration that the Rivers State government had bought up Shell's interest in the oil mining lease. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has more.
Governor Nyesom Wike, in a recent nationwide broadcast, hinted that the Rivers State government had paid a sum of $150 million to acquire Shell's 45% equity shares in the operatorship of OML 11. The Rivers State chief executive said the acquisition followed a court judgment for the auction of the oil facility.
Rather than stand by and watch other persons or group purchase SPDC 45% interest in that OML 11 and further exacerbate the poverty of the people of the state, a responsible and responsive state government should weigh in and bid for the purchase of SPDC interest already set down for auction.
While Governor Wike claims that the move is to protect the interests of Rivers people, it appears not to have gone down well with Ogoni people. Celestine Akpobari and Gani Toba are two Ogoni activists who have openly criticized the governor for abetting resumption of oil production in Ogoniland, whose people are still licking their wounds from the repression and exploitation attendant on decades of oil production in their communities.
We lost 13 prominent Ogoni people. We lost 14 communities wiped out. We lost more than 2,000 men and women of Ogoni who died on this struggle. And somebody will now sit in government house and say the state is losing revenue.
He's a Rivers man. And for a Rivers governor, somebody from Rivers State to have, dabbled into the issue of OML 11 without even consulting with the people, without even having respect for the blood of over 2,000 people that were lost, I think it does not mean well.
The Ogoni activists dismissed the purported acquisition of OML 11 as announced recently by the Rivers State governor. They insist that the oil facility is neither open for bidding nor available for oil production to commence. At the moment, the federal government is in court with Shell over the operatorship of OML 11. In August this year, an Abuja Federal High Court ordered the federal government to renew Shell's lease to operate OML 11 for a period of 20 years after the government of President Muhammadu Buhari cancelled the operating license of the oil major in the first quarter of this year. The federal government has since appealed the judgment, fearing that it could ignite insecurity in Ogoniland if allowed to stand.
I think that Governor Wike didn't do research well. UNEP recommended that Shell should decommission. In fact, that was the first recommendation. Decommissioning means that you have to remove everything that you have from the place, including pieces of iron in the ground. Your manifold, whatever that you have, should be removed. So I don't know which one that Wike has paid for, whether it is an open land that he has paid for.
That block has expired. The block was not renewed. So what he's doing is to wear another mask of Shell. They are wearing the garment of the governor to use the name of Rivers State government to intimidate, to destroy and enter the land. And we are saying, no, you can't do that.
The largest oil mining lease in the Niger Delta, OML 11, covers 14 oil fields in Rivers and Imo states, 10 of which are located in Ogoniland. The Ogonis have vowed to resist all attempts to reopen the oil fields until the federal government addresses their grievances over the extrajudicial killing of the Ogoni Nine, as well as the demands espoused in the Ogoni Bill of Rights.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Africa, the mother of all civilization, has grown in leaps and bounds, from agriculture through the Industrial Revolution, and now a major player in the digital age. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to celebrate Africa's digital transformation. Welcome to Africa's biggest digital celebration, the Africa Digital Heroes Award 2019. Featuring awards, music, food, comedy, entertainment, TV, Nollywood, stars, and innovations. Don't miss this one-of-a-kind show if you play within and outside the digital ecosystem. Date 18th October 2019 at the prestigious Radisson Blu Ikeja, Lagos. Red carpet, 5 p.m. It's a celebration of the stars like you. For participation, reach us on these numbers: 0806 12 66691 and 08055001878. Africa Digital Heroes Award, Africa's premier digital celebration of excellence. Join us.
By the third quarter of 2018, unemployment rates in the country rose to 23.10%, according to a report released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. In the report, Akwa Ibom, with an unemployment rate of 37.7%, is ranked highest, while other oil-rich states of Rivers and Bayelsa State follows closely with unemployment rates of 36.4% and 32.6% respectively. The high rates of unemployment, suggesting low economic activities in Nigeria's oil-rich states, have been a source of concern for most Niger Deltans. Abuja-based constitutional lawyer Frank Tietie blames soaring unemployment rates in the region on the lack of purposeful leadership.
Job creation is not a priority. They don't care about the people. They don't care whether the people have a culture or all the young people are not termed as mostly criminals or Yahoo boys who don't do or who engage in bunkering or whatever, because they never have the interest of the people. It is about capturing state power in order to use the resources for your own self, to live what some refer to as subsidized living, big larger than life lifestyle at the expense of the people.
In the same vein, report of the Debt Management Office in the first quarter of 2019, released in July this year, indicates that the oil-rich states contribute significantly to the country's high debt profile, which had reached 24.97 trillion naira by March 2019. The report ranks Lagos State as the highest domestic debtor, with a domestic debt profile of about 542 billion naira. The nation's commercial capital is followed by Rivers, with a domestic debt profile of over 225 billion naira, Delta State with about 222 billion naira, and Akwa Ibom State with almost 200 billion naira.
Let the people now begin to have town hall meetings as to monies that have come in and how they have been expended. When it comes to budget implementation, you will hardly have 35% implementation, but when it comes to payment of extra codes, payment of salaries, payment of allowances, you will find almost 100% implementation. So it is about the people who run government. So this narrative has to change.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, there's no gainsaying the fact that the rising unemployment rates and increasing debt profiles in the Niger Delta states are clear indications of government's failure to meet the goals of public financial management. The onus lies with the respective state governments in the Niger Delta to rethink their approach to public expenditures and economic stabilization policies. Well, we move to Kula Kingdom. For youths in Kula Kingdom, in Akukutoro local government area of Rivers State and other neighboring communities in the Niger Delta, there have been consistent efforts in the last 3 years to shield them from the scourge of unemployment and poverty. The role of Belema Oil Producing Limited in job creation was underscored by participants at a recent stakeholder visit to Kula Kingdom for the official reopening of operations on OML 25. Correspondent Tekena Amiofori has details.
The final resolution of the protracted dispute on OML 25 is generally viewed as a welcome development, considering the economic implications attendant on the commencement of oil and gas production in the vastly endowed oil field. For most communities of OML 25, the recognition in the agreement of Belema Oil Producing Limited as joint venture partner in the oil lease is particularly heartwarming. Belema Oil has in less than 3 years of its operation of OML 55 employed over 3,000 youths in Kula Kingdom and neighboring communities in the Niger Delta.
An idle mind is a devil workshop. So if there are no idle mind, why would the devil set up his workshop? He will look elsewhere to go and set up his workshop. So we believe that Belema, under Engineer 10 Jackeries, had the capacity to manage OML 25.
Founder and president of Belema Oil Producing Limited, Jackeries 10 Jr. says his company's employment policy was deliberately adopted to avert a looming social crisis in the Niger Delta.
Nigeria has a growing population, about 3 to 5%. And in the next 30 years, we're going to be experiencing a population growth of about 380 million. And 65% to 75% of that population are young ones like you guys. And we're going to be dealing with a population of over 180 million in the next 30 years. And if you do nothing, then you're going to deal with a lot of social issues. I mean, if we fail to put a platform that enables, business to thrive in this part of the country, then we have a major challenge.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipri Silva, is also optimistic about the future of the kingdom.
We have fought to this point, and the federal government at least has started looking our way. It is time for us to change strategy and to ensure that we begin to bring the benefits of investments to our community. If we don't make our communities peaceful, investments cannot come. The investors are ready to come here. And without the investors, there will be no jobs for our youth.
Employment generation is an integral part of Belema Oil's corporate social responsibility policy, which it has adopted successfully in OML 55. The expectation is that it will replicate its community engagement model as joint venture partner in OML 25.
Still staying with Kula Kingdom, the amicable resolution of the dispute over the operatorship of OML 25 brings to an end the decades-long crisis fueled by oil production in Kula Kingdom. This special report correspondent Chika Bodozie takes a look at the role of engineer Jack Rich Teng Jr., founder and president of Belema Oil Producing Limited, in what appears to be a restoration of lasting peace, which holds out great prospects for sustainable development in Kula Kingdom.
The ancient Kula Kingdom had existed in isolation in the eastern Niger Delta for centuries before the discovery of crude oil in the area some 5 decades ago. At the time, the license to operate OML 25, which resides in the oil-rich kingdom, was awarded to Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC. In 1982, a dispute over the kingship of Kula arose between 2 factions. The crisis engulfing the once peaceful kingdom was on 2 fronts. While the people had SPDC to contend with over alleged corporate social responsibility infractions, they were also embroiled in an internal leadership crisis that claimed several lives and property. Despite huge revenues generated from oil production in its communities, Kula Kingdom had suffered untold neglect and deprivation. Poverty in the communities was fueled by the absence of basic social amenities, making life unbearable for the people. In the midst of their collective predicament, the long-suffering Kula people were unable to demand a better deal from neither Shell nor the Nigerian authorities as they remained seriously divided. For the people of Kula Kingdom, there was light at the end of the tunnel in 2016 when engineer Jack Rich Teng Jr. emerged on the scene. Jack Rich Teng Jr., a son of the soil who was dismayed at the backwardness and underdevelopment of the kingdom, decided to come to the rescue of his people. Soon after securing license to operate OML 55, Belema Oil had intervened in the development crisis rocking Kula Town, which is a host community in the oil field. In carrying out its corporate social responsibility, the indigenous oil giant had provided potable water in Kula Kingdom. The water project provided great succor for the community, which had access to safe drinking water for the first time throughout its existence.
And I'm testing the water, which is a nice water that it can even make me not to buy any pure water in Port Harcourt to Kula community again. So for me, I'm going to tell everybody not to waste their time again because it's a solid water produced by Belema Oil.
Under the NNPC Belema Oil joint venture partnership, an electrification project was also undertaken in Kula Town. This was in addition to the award of scholarships to indigent students, as well as the provision of vocational training and gainful employment for idle youths in the hitherto traumatized community.
To be frank, to Belema Oil, he has done a lot. Employment, skill acquisition, a lot of things. We are there as used to praise God for his life. Let God continue to bless him to do more projects on, and also to develop the youths.
Today, Belema Oil has made make us to shine, and we will shine more. Because in those days, this community, we are suffering. So in fact, we can't count. But today, you see everybody is happy.
Driven by the need to create a peaceful ambience for sustainable development to take off in Kula Kingdom, engineer Jack Rich Tain Jr. had considered it imperative to wade into the protracted leadership crisis that left Kula Kingdom in a complete state of disarray and dejection. In May 2019, his intervention brought to an end the age-long power tussle between the Sara and Oko royal houses of Kula Kingdom. Having accepted an olive branch extended to them by their illustrious son, the warring factions decided to sink their differences and work together in the collective interest of their kingdom. They had collapsed their factional cabinets into a new ruling body known as Kula Supreme Council of Chiefs. King Kroma Eleki of the Sara royal house was unanimously adopted as chairman of the new Council of Chiefs, while King Bodilon Ekine of the Oko royal house was elected to serve as its secretary.
Our son, Tain Jack Rich Jr., is a Moses to this town. He comes to deliver this town. Give food to a person who have no food. Bless everybody with his success, and able to control this town to be one today. May God bless him in Jesus' name.
If one is falling and somebody helps him to wake up, why do you call that person Destiny Helper? So our founder is Kula Ekpeke. It's the Ekpeke of Kula Kingdom. And I will liaise with him. You should give us a day. We will install him officially as Chief Engineer Jack Rich Tain Jr. Ekpeke of Kula Kingdom.
In August 2017, women from Belema Ofonyama and Ngeje host communities to OML 25 occupied the Belema flow station and gas plant. The incident was in reaction to Shell's alleged planned divestment of its interest in OML 25. With the tacit support of several groups in Kula Kingdom, the protesting women had demanded that the license for the operatorship of OML 25 be awarded to Belema Oil following Shell's planned exit from the oil field. It was the people's collective resolve to pave way for Belema Oil to replicate its laudable development model in OML 25. Over 2 years after the occupation of the Belema flow station and gas plant, the federal government recently resolved the dispute on OML 25. For host communities of the highly lucrative oil field, the new arrangement involving Belema Oil in the operatorship of the oil mining lease marks a new beginning in Kula Kingdom.
With this, I think Kula will be developed. We will look at our potentials. And finally, with Belema coming to Kula, it means Kula will turn to be a city and our beach will be nationalized.
Following the return of peace in Kula Kingdom, the people have decided to put their ugly past behind them as they look forward to better days ahead. Their optimism about the future is not without basis. After all, Belema Oil Producing Limited had, prior to the recent peace deal, rolled out a Marshall Plan for the sustainable development of the kingdom. With the proposed construction of the Muhammadu Buhari Kula Degema Port Harcourt Expressway, the company intends to link the isolated communities to the rest of the world.
Right now, the opportunities are abound, and they still intend to do more. The one that marvels me most right now is the one I tagged unthinkable before now. I thought it's my great-great-great-grandchildren will come and meet that. That is the issue of road to Port Harcourt. Belema Oil have started already, not just intending. They've started 85-kilometer road to Port Harcourt and Route Degema. That is like a dream that is already on ground. It's reality now. And then they intend to also establish a refinery within this Kula Kingdom. And then there will also be free trade zone. And then there will be a ring road around the community Kula Kingdom. The achievements are endless.
Groundbreaking for the road construction of 85-kilometer President Muhammadu Buhari Kola Degema Port Harcourt Expressway by His Excellency myself, Honorable Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, 28 September 2019.
And we believe that this business that God has given to us is business that is set to design what I call the pace setting to helping others who are pretty much in need. And we believe strongly that the young ones are listening to me and they're hearing me. And I pray that we all work together as one entity to make our lives better.
Without a shadow of doubt, the recent turn of events in the kingdom signals the dawn of a new era in the kingdom, and the people give all the credit to one man, Engineer Jack Rich Ten Jr., a peacemaker and extraordinary philanthropist who has so far demonstrated that indeed charity begins at home.
Well, we must say kudos to Engineer Jack Rich Ten Jr. for his transformation agenda in Kula Kingdom and indeed the rest of the Niger Delta. It's on this note that we draw the curtain on the program. Many thanks for staying tuned. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time on this station next week. In the meantime, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until then, and on behalf of the production crew, I am Mahmoud Akuga saying thank you all so much for watching and bye for now.